Hello everyone. So today we are going to continue with the short answers in the Unit 10 practice test. Question number 1. Evaluate log base 5 of 1. So one way to interpret this question is to rewrite it as an exponential form. So suppose log base 5 of 1 is equal to x. Then we can write 5 to the x is equal to 1, which of course means that x is equal to 0. So therefore, log base 5 of 1 is equal to 0. Okay, moving on to question number 2. We are going to write 2 as a logarithm of base 3. So 2 is equal to log base 3 of some x. So in exponential form, this would be 3 squared is equal to x, which means x is equal to 9. So therefore, 2 written as a logarithm of base 3 should be 2 is equal to log base 3 of the number 9. Okay, moving on to number 3. Write as a single logarithm. So here what we can do is to use the power rule to move the 9 over 5 and also the 7. Notice now we have 2 logarithms of the same base. Therefore, we can multiply the arguments together. So we have log x to the 9 over 5 power, and then multiply by y to the 7th power. Okay, moving on to number 4. We are going to rewrite this expression in terms of log a and log b. So first, we are going to separate the quotient and write it as a difference of logarithms. And then we are going to use the power rule. So we have 3 log a minus 5 log b as our answer. Moving on to number 5. Okay, it says here, given log n is approximately 1.322, determine the approximate value of log 100 n to the 4th power. Okay, so what we can do is we can first separate the logarithm into 2 parts. We have log 100 plus log n to the 4th power. We know that log 100 is simply 2. And using the power rule, we can rewrite log n to the 4th power, n to the 4th power as 4 log n. After that, we can substitute the approximate value of log n, which is 1.322. And from there, we can multiply everything out. And in the end, we get the answer 7.288. Let's move on to number 6. Right. Determine the equation of the vertical asymptote of the graph y equals negative 3 log base 5 of x minus 4. So what we can do is to consider that the graph y equals log base 5 of x would have an asymptote at x equals 0. the graph that's given in the question as we can see, moves the function 4 spaces to the right. That's what the x minus 4 would do. So then the asymptote will also be moved 4 spaces to the right. So the new asymptote will be simply x equals 4. Okay, number 7. Okay, determine the y-intercept. That means we simply let x equal 0. So here we have y equals log base 3 of 3 and then 0 plus 3 in the parentheses here. So therefore, this is simply going to be log base 3 of 3 times 3 is 9, which gives us a value of 2. Okay, since 3 squared is equal to 9. Okay, number 8. Okay, so here we go, number 8. We can take the logarithm of both sides and then use the power rule first. So we have x log 5 is equal to x plus 3 and then log 6. After that, we can use the distributive property on the right-hand side. So we have x log 6 plus 3 log 6 on the right-hand side. From there, we can subtract both sides by x log 6. So we have x log 5 on the left-hand side minus x log 6. And on the right-hand side, we can move the 3 back to be an exponent. So we have log 6 cubed on the right-hand side. After that, we can factor out the x from the two terms that we have. So this will be x and then in parentheses log 5 minus log 6. And we can evaluate the right-hand side. 6 cubed is equal to 216. From there, we can combine the two logarithms on the left-hand side. So this will be x log and then 5 over 6. And the right-hand side is still just log 216. So finally, we can divide both sides by log 5 over 6. So we have x is equal to log 216 over log of 5 over 6. Then we can evaluate using using a calculator. We'll get x is approximately negative 29.48. Let's move on to number 9, a similar question. So again, we'll begin by taking the logarithm of both sides. Okay, so on the left-hand side, we have a product 9 multiplied by 5 to the x power, which means we can separate them into two logarithms, log 9 plus log 5 to the x power. On the right-hand side, we can apply the power rule and move the x plus 4 in front of the log 8. So once we have done that, we can apply the distributive property on the right-hand side and also the power rule on the left-hand side. So we have x log 5. And then on the right-hand side, we have x log 8 plus 4 log 8. Okay, here we're going to move the terms with x in them on the left to the left. So we have x log 5 minus x log 8. And that will be equal to 4 log 8 minus log 9. So here we can factor out the x. And apply the power rule here. So we have 8 to the 4th power minus log 9. And afterwards, you can simply divide both sides by log 5 minus log 8. So one way to write the answer is to have log 8 to the 4th power minus, log 8 to the 4th power minus log 9 all over log 5 minus log 8. And this could be evaluated using a calculator. And this would be negative 13.02 approximately. It is also possible to combine the logarithms first before the last step. So we'll get something that looks like this instead. It'll be log 4096, that's 8 to the 4th power over 9 over log, and then we have 5 over 8. And if that is evaluated on the calculator, we get the same value of, once again, negative 13.02 approximately. Okay, so finally, number 10. We'll begin by looking at the restriction. So we can see here x is greater than 4. In the second set of restriction, x is greater than 4 once again. And finally, in the last parentheses, we have x is greater than 1. So altogether then, the restriction is just x must be greater than 4. Okay. So once we have stated the restriction, we can begin by factoring the 5 from the first set of parentheses. So this would be 5 and then x minus 4. And then minus log base 7 of x minus 4. And then on the right-hand side, we have log base 7 of x minus 1. Now on the left-hand side, we can divide the two arguments and combine them to make a single logarithm. And the right-hand side, not much simplification can happen here, so we'll just leave it as x minus 1. Notice that the left-hand side simply becomes log 5. Oh, sorry, base 7. Right. Here we go. And the right-hand side is going to be log base 7 of x minus 1, which of course means that 5 is equal to x minus 1, and finally, x is equal to 6. Okay, so that's it for the short answers. We'll continue with the problems in the next video. Thank you for listening.